Today on Grow Up, Level Up, we are celebrating 10 years of Overwatch. We're going to be going through all 10 years of Overwatch and what that means to me and Jordan. Play the extra special intro. Welcome, one and all, to Grow Up, Level Up, the podcast where we like to talk about the games that helped us grow up and the games that we still play today. And hey, why not talk about a game that has helped us grow up in the last 10 years? Just because you are in your 20s going to 30s does not mean that you are done growing up. I swallowed a piece of dinner in my
He's
mouth.
getting choked up.
I'm getting choked up already. It's too early. My name is Samson, aka Samson XP, and Overwatch has been a huge part of my life in the last 10 years. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with host of the One Man Watch Point himself, Sir Dr. JM. What's up, man?
Wow, you thought of everything for this episode. I was not expecting that intro. That was super hype. And if I had known you were going to do that, I would have sent you some better pictures. When we were first looking for owl pictures, I just kind of went through and grabbed like some of my faves, but I had
Those are
better
great.
ones.
Those are great.
But
It shows the community of it all and all that. But I hope you enjoyed that, Jordan. I hope you enjoyed that, audience. If you are watching live, just like Batgirl is over on the Twitch chat, twitch.tv/growuplevelup, we are starting to record live every week over on twitch.tv/growuplevelup, usually Tuesday evenings, 8 p.m. PT. But if you aren't catching us live, you are probably listening to us on youtube.com/growuplevelup or podcast services around the globe. And while you're here, if you enjoy what you're listening to, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, anywhere to get this podcast out, because here we just like celebrating games, either the games that help us grow up or the games that are, the games that we play today. We cover a wide array of topics, including the games you should be playing. We interview folks in all types of industries, not just gaming, and it would be awesome if you joined us along the way. Like I said, today's topic is 10 years of Overwatch. Can you believe that this game has been out for 10 years, Jordan?
I mean, it's wild because it feels like in a lot of ways it's always been there, and I almost feel like only 10 years, but at the same time, for any game to last more than 3 years and have any sort of an audience is definitely a feat to behold. And trust me, we'll get into it because it didn't look so bright for a while there. So
for a long while, it did not look good. But it's crazy too, because sure, it's a video game. There are many live service games out there. Like, this one is kind of special, not because it's only special to us, but because it has gone through like almost the gauntlet of man, it's not looking good, man. It's got you're wasting potential, but also it's like it came in as this gargantuan industry shaking project that, like, and we'll get into it, had an identity crisis, and now has redeemed itself and is in kind of the new golden era, a newer golden era. So we're going to dive all into that, starting from the beginning. But before we do, like I said, I want to remind you that this is Grow Up, Level Up. We are a podcast that likes to celebrate the games that helped us grow up and the games that we are playing today. If you liked what you're hearing, like I said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. And if you really like it, go to growuplevelup.com and pick yourself up some merch, some Grow Up, Level Up merch designed by the Friendship Design. Thank you so much. If you're watching live, like Batgirl is, who just said, that was beautiful, LOL. You're welcome. Chat in the chat in the Twitch chat, and we'll be doing some viewer questions and all that later. So hope you join us for that if you are listening live. All right. Without further ado, Jordan, you titled this "The Grow Up Level Up Overwatch Eras Tour,"
I did.
which I kind of like, actually. I didn't notice it until
I knew
now.
you would.
Yeah, we're gonna go through like every era of Overwatch, starting from, I guess, when it released on May
Beginning.
24th, 2016. Before, Jordan, I pass it over to you,
Mhm.
I want to ask a question, and um, to frame that question, I want to bring it back to like what I said at the beginning. Just because we're in our 20s and 30s, like we're legally adults, doesn't mean we're done growing up. Like this is something I learned in my college courses, my psychology courses, that like human development, so growing up, pretty much happens all the time until you die. So with Overwatch being in our lives for 10 years, like our lives have changed so much in those 10 years that I kind of wonder like how much has it changed, Jordan? Where were you on in May 24th, 2016?
I got married in 2014. I moved to Australia at the end of 2014. Came back pretty quickly. And I was probably either in, I think I would have been in Panorama Hills in Calgary, Alberta, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment with my wife. The very place that regular listeners will know, I claim to this day, was haunted after we played PT in that apartment.
Like, was it haunted before you played PT,
No,
or you
no, it
played
was
PT?
haunted. It was haunted by PT. I
Oh.
had to get out of that place after we played it there. So
That's amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're coming out of a very dark place.
Yes, it's true. I was. We
That's
were not there for
awesome.
long. We were there for maybe 6-8 months, something like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
we got
that is not long.
we got married in August of 2014. So in May of the following year, we were still newlyweds for all intents and purposes, and yeah, looking to start my career in IT and everything. That was probably either shortly after or shortly before I started sort of my first real IT job. So
Amazing.
Overwatch has been along for almost my entire career, you could say.
Yeah, true. For myself, shout out, welcome in the chat before I dive into my thing. Perry Truman, welcome in. And welcome, first time chatter, Kitty Bean. Welcome in.
I'm about 99% sure I know who Kitty Bean is. And we met at the grand finals in Toronto. The
No
Overwatch League grand finals.
way.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Kitty
We'll
Bean,
get there,
yeah, get
all right.
comfy, grab a beverage. We'll get there. So for me, myself and I, 2016, it was I'll bump it back a couple of years since you did as well. 2012 to 2013, I went to film school. And then I did film school for a year.
Forgot
Thought I
about
was going to
that.
be working in video games and movies, but worked about a year or two and then really didn't like it. So I went back to school this time for child and youth care and psychology, that kind of stuff. And 2016 would have been the end of my first year because end of my second year.
Yeah.
So I was in the middle of college, more or less. And then, yeah, this Overwatch game came along. I think at the time I wasn't dating anybody. I wasn't, I didn't, well, I met my wife, but we weren't going out yet. Spoiler alert, we bonded a lot over Overwatch League and Overwatch.
Right.
And this new game came out, and it was one of those rare games that my brothers and I all clicked. Like, we all play video games, but we're all kind of like parallel video game enjoyers. Like, I like this game. My brother likes Counter-Strike, and my other brother likes, I don't know what he likes. He plays some like weird stuff all the time. Not weird, but like different stuff. So we all like different things. But Overwatch was like, and I know this sounds kind of sad, but it's not completely true, but it's the last time like the three of us all like found a game that clicked with each other. So that was like really exciting. I think jumping ahead a little bit, in the first couple of weeks it came out, like I was playing with my friends and my brothers were playing with their friends, and we somehow ended up on opposite teams in the quick play lobby. And then we're like, it's like, oh, I just got killed by
That's funny.
Endele. And it's like, wait, I don't. And then we like message each other. It was fun. So that was kind of where I was at. I was like still in school, haven't graduated yet, but I have done like a career change at that point, an industry change at that point. And I was just kind of enjoying my early 20s, I guess. Like I wasn't moved out yet. I was still living at home. And I just went to school and then went to the gym and then went home and played Overwatch. I was working like a side job, but nothing like nothing crazy. I didn't travel very far, and some would say I still haven't. We got some submissions in the chat. Perry Chuman says wasn't doing anything exciting in 2014 and definitely wasn't playing video games. Crazy.
Oh, very sad.
Not? I'm sure that should have happened. Kitty Bean. Me and my husband loved Overwatch League so much we drove all the way to Toronto for grand finals from Atlanta. It was nice to enjoy with your partner. Yeah, Overwatch League with your significant other. We will come back to that, Kitty Beans, because that's definitely something that I did as well.
Now, you know what? I goofed. I totally was thinking 2014 for some reason. And like, yeah, we got married in 2014. And then that just led me down a path of where was I shortly after that. It was a whole nother year after that. So I must have been kind of same thing. My answer doesn't really change. Early in my career, working a crappy entry-level IT job, but not in the haunted apartment. That's the important. I was in a different place by then. I was in a better. You know what? I think I might have been in my first house actually.
Oh wow!
By that point. So, anyways, yeah. That's
very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
I remember, if you want to share, the first time I played Overwatch. This was, I think, the first open beta or second open beta, literally a couple weeks before it came out. My friend's family moved into a new house, like a huge, beautiful house. But then they were going on vacation. And then I said, oh, I can house sit because they have like a dog. I can house sit. And that also happened to be the beta weekend. So I hauled my entire PC over and I think I dropped it. The CPU fell off. I had to like learn how to reapply thermal paste.
Should have called me, Mr. IT at that time.
Yeah, true. And then I ended up, like playing Overwatch in a like empty, cold basement with my full desktop computer.
That's so funny.
In my friend's house, in my friend's new house. Yeah.
You had a LAN party by yourself just because it had to go to someone else's house.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this favor for you. But then I was also like alone in this giant house in the basement.
We missed it in the chat.
Haunted.
Not haunted. Good clarifier. Bad Girl in the chat said, I was managing GameStop, set up the midnight release, definitely one of the bigger releases we did. And then they said we got out of the midnight launch and I installed Overwatch the second I got home and we gamed all night after work.
Dude, that's so awesome.
That's really cool.
Awesome.
That's the dream. I mean, at that age, I would have killed to manage a GameStop. Honestly, like that was my dream job as a early 20-something-year-old. I was like, the number of times I applied at freaking GameStop and never got even an offer, I was so mad. But anyways,
it's true. You're not the only person I heard. But yeah, Batgirl, that's amazing. Like that is so cool. To do a midnight launch and then go home and play the game. Like doesn't happen anymore. I don't think. I
know.
Doesn't happen.
Midnight launch now is preload the game. Started at 10 or 11 p.m. whenever it technically launches for your time zone.
Yeah, and then you're not even celebrating with anybody. You're just alone.
Yeah,
watching it download on Steam. 23 at the time and managing GameStop. Moving up in life. They got you doing well. Well, Jordan, that's kind of where we were at in 2016, 10 years ago, as we said. Life has changed a lot, but I'm sure we'll get there. But why don't I pass it over to you? Can you bring us through the timeline, the Eras tour of Overwatch?
I would absolutely love to. And to start things off, before I get into it, I've got a question for you and a question for the audience, of course, that we'll let them answer while I walk us through the first era of Overwatch. So my first question, of course, the original cast of characters was not the roster that we have now. The roster obviously did grow over time, but if we're breaking down the eras, realistically, the easiest thing to do is say Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. Of course, Overwatch 2 eventually drops the 2 and becomes Overwatch all over again, but that's fine. We'll just say Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 era. So, for argument's sake, I want to know, Samson, who are your favorite OG characters? So, I'm talking pre Overwatch 2. Now, that would go all the way up to 2022, which the final character before Overwatch 2 that was released was Echo, released in 2020. And then it wasn't until October of 2022 that they changed to Overwatch 2 and we got a new character. So
Right.
give me one or two, maybe three, maybe one from each role if you have a fave from each role. But yeah.
Yeah, first one that comes to mind is Zenyatta. So as the trailers were coming out, as I forget the exact cadence, but they came out with like a new character reveal once a month or something leading up to the game. I think the first one that really I don't know, blew my mind was like, okay, first person shooter. I've played Call of Duty before. But then you see Zenyatta's kit and he's doing like kung fu moves, chucking like balls or something, and then I'm like, oh, this is different. Like, this is cool. This is different.
They don't throw orbs in Counter-Strike.
Exactly, right? So then it's like, oh, this like they got some sort of sauce here. So that was the first one that piqued my interest. So I think Zenyatta has a special place in my heart in the OGs, because that's the first one that really expanded my brain on what a first person game character could be. I'm sure Zenyatta is not the first one, but it was the one that stuck out for me in this game. The other one that I liked was Diva. I think having that kind of like fourth wall breaking. Oh, she was a professional StarCraft player. I think they're
professional gamer. Yeah,
professional gamer. I thought that was pretty cool. Plus, she had like a mech, and at that time, Titanfall was still in everybody's conscious. So like being able to come in and out of a mech was really cool concept.
Yeah.
And then my last one, and I kind of want to pick a DPS, but I'm not sure which one would fit the bill. I would think that my last one would have to be Pharah.
Okay.
Is it Pharah? Yeah, because in TF2, I played a lot of a mode called Arena. In that mode, it's kind of like ARAM in League of Legends, where it's just no cooldowns and everyone's super fast. And I bounce between the scout, where he can double jump and have a shotgun, and the soldier, who had the rocket jump and the shovel. So Pharah, obviously the rocket queen, very similar ideas. You are shooting rockets, leading your shots. And then once again, at the time, there wasn't too many of these other than Tribes Ascend, I think. And also hailing from Quake, there wasn't that many of these rocket thingies out there in terms of games and stuff.
Those are some solid picks. It's funny that you mentioned Diva, because I mean, the big thing that jumps out at me when it comes to Diva, especially early on, is that she could get damaged by her own Diva Bomb, of course.
Yeah.
Which is so funny to think about some of the changes that they've made and everything. Just
Junkrat
too, characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they stopped making Junkrat get damaged by his own stuff.
That's right. And speaking of favorites, I mean, hey, chat, drop yours in the chat there. I know Batgirl said Soldier, Pharah, and Tracer, all good picks. Nice. And Tracer obviously continues to be, has pretty much always been a fan favorite, and probably one of the most well-rounded and applicable heroes in almost any situation. So my three picks, and I won't talk about them too much, but on the tank side, I've always loved Winston. I've got my Winston right here, my little guy right there.
Winston.
Yeah, he's always been my favorite. On the DPS side, Junkrat is actually definitely my pick. I used to play a hell of a lot of free-for-all, actually. And I would just hop on Junkrat and cause chaos. I loved getting in there with that. And then on support, it came a little later, not releasing until 2018. But Brig is definitely one of my favorite supports. I loved the GOATS meta. And partially probably because Vancouver did so well, but in the Overwatch League. But we'll talk about that soon. So like I said, chat, drop it in the chat if you do have some favorites from the original lineup, of course. So, I see someone in the lineup, or in the chat, sorry, whose favorite might be Illari. And of course, Illari dropped a little later in the Overwatch 2 era. So, anyways, let's get into it and let's talk a little bit about the timeline of Overwatch here. So, of course, first I should give credit to the two places that I primarily pulled all this from. One was a post over on the Blizzard forums by someone named Toaster, Touster, posted in July of 2024. And that was a breakdown of when each hero released up until 2025, because of course this post was in 2024. So they didn't have any of the 2025, none of the 2026 characters. I mean, the reason they did this is because they wanted to post things like longest time between support heroes was 3 years, 6 months, and 5 days. Longest time between damage heroes, 2 years and 12 days. Longest time between tanks, 2 years, 8 months, 13 days. So they were just looking at the characters and when they dropped and everything. So shout out to them, because that post was very helpful in what I was looking to build. The second shout out I want to give is to a channel called The Watchover on YouTube. Just last month, I think it was, they posted a video called Every Era in Overwatch Explained. And they went through in a much more granular fashion than I'm going to go through, because frankly, they approached it from a very competitive side and in large part, a very Overwatch League focused way. So I do have that breakdown that they have, but I'm not going to quite focus in on all of that. So should I get into it?
We shall, and we'll post the links to your resources down below, because that
Perfect.
Every Era in Overwatch, I think I'd be interested in watching that
It's
as well.
honestly,
just trip down memory lane.
I was surprised when I clicked on it. I was like, oh, this is going to be 2 hours long. It was a 20-minute video. And I was like, yes, this is perfect. It's like a slideshow he does. And he just kind of talks about each era. It's pretty cool, especially for a knower. So let's get to it. The first era I want to talk about is the launch era. So this, in my mind, this is May 24th, 2016, launch of the game, through to about mid 2020. This is, of course, when we had the launch of the game. And over the course of sort of the first little while, we had many changes to meta team comps, tweaks to skills and damage. And we eventually got the introduction of the role lock, because when the game launched, there were no limits on your team. You could literally have a team of 6 tracers, or a team of 6 Reinhardts, or a team of 1 Reinhardt and 5 Mercies if you really wanted to. And I think that was probably the fastest thing they fixed. If I'm not mistaken, it was like literally the first patch they put out like 2 weeks later, because it was pretty well utter chaos.
Yeah, it was super fast. I remember like when the competitive esports side was coming up, every comp ended up being 2 Winstons, 2 Lucios, 2 Tracers, and it was like a bunch of ants, bunch of flies,
exactly.
like all around the map at the same time. It was
Exactly.
crazy.
And so, if you want to get more granular with it, there were things like the Beyblade meta, where you had Ana boosting Reaper and Lucio also speed boosting. You had some triple tank builds, lots of things like that. But honestly, like, this was the early era of Overwatch. This was obviously experimental. This was, in a lot of ways, one of the first games to kind of do this. You already mentioned Team Fortress 2. And I think for a lot of people, Team Fortress 2 was kind of the closest comparison they had to this new hero shooter. And really, it just expands on everything that Team Fortress 2 did. So the next big thing to come, though, outside of metas, because of course I mentioned Beyblade, we had triple tank, which was 3 tanks, 3 supports, generally speaking. We had dive metas, but of course that leads us into January 10th, 2018, with the first ever Owl season, Overwatch League season. It's on my chest, kicking off. Of course, we had 12 original teams: the Boston Uprising, the New York Excelsior, the San Francisco Shock, the LA Valiant, the Florida Mayhem. Shout out, I'm going to duck. There's my Mayhem jersey. Although not in the original McDonald's colors. I would kill to have that jersey.
I miss those McDonald's colors too.
The Shanghai Dragons, the Seoul Dynasty, the London Spitfire, the LA Gladiators, the Philadelphia Fusion, and the Dallas Fuel, and the Houston Outlaws. And that was your original Overwatch League roster. Of course,
now,
in 20... Go ahead.
Can I say, like, they teased this league at the end of 2017, I want to say, like, or like even earlier than that, like the first year of Overwatch. They said like, and this shout out to the book by Jason Schreier,
Hmm?
The Rise and Fall of Blizzard. They dive into this, but this was a time when esports were kind of on the up and up. I think like League of Legends was still climbing up. I mean, it still is. It's still incredibly popular. But the pitch was like, what if we made the NBA and the NFL for this Overwatch game that everybody's talking about? And as a fan, I was like, that'd be pretty cool. But then logistically, it sounded like a nightmare. But I was like, hey, I like this game. I want to see it succeed. And yeah, this is like, why not be on the cutting edge of maybe perhaps a new industry and perhaps a new thing we can follow into our lives and that our children can play. But well, I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll get there.
There's a ton of interesting history behind the Overwatch League because, of course, Bobby Kotick, former head of Activision Blizzard, of course, horrible human being. But as you mentioned, Jason Schreier's book goes into a lot of what happened with the early concepting of the Overwatch League, how it came to be, and then obviously the eventual sort of fall of it. But there's a lot of interesting stuff about how it was pitched because, like you say, it was meant to be quite literally. Bobby Kotick pitched it as the NBA of video games and things like that. The Boston Uprising, one of the original 12 teams, was owned by Robert Kraft, of course, of the Kraft Empire, also owner of the New York Patriots, I want to say. Like this, the
New
Overwatch
England.
League was an incredibly big deal when it was first starting. And this was before I was even aware of it. You're right. I think they teased it at the end of 2016, actually, at the end of the launch year. And then it just took that long to actually sort of finally become a thing. It wasn't until the start of 2018 when the first official match kicked off. There were a few exhibition matches at the end of 2017. But yeah, so 2018, start of the league. Then, of course, after the first season. Now, do you know who wins the first season there, Samson? Dig into the memory banks.
It wasn't New York because they started sandbagging. Oh my gosh. How could
that-
I not know?
is that true?
Oh, London Spitfire. London Spitfire.
Oh, yes, that's
I
right.
remember.
And who got MVP that year? Do you remember that?
I can picture it's the guy who stuck out his middle finger. No? Was his name Prophet?
No, it wasn't
It was
Prophet.
Birdring then.
Prophet was later. No, I believe it was Janu, wasn't it? Because he got the New York Excelsior skin. The nice squid one where he's a little squid in a head.
You might be right. No. That's his Janu is the guy on the Titans. Like who is the guy?
Man. New
was the guy?
York Excelsior
We can figure this
skin.
out. It was something. Jonak?
Jonak. It was Jonak. Yeah, you're right.
Come
you're
on,
right.
bro.
Janu
It's
was a
in
Titan.
here. It's
Yeah.
in here.
There it is. You got there. You got us there eventually.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We are deep. We are deep in the trenches chat. Like French dip in the chat. Hey, Basta Goblin, welcome in. Perry. Like we are deep in the recesses of the Samson and Jordan war right now.
It's
so
true.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride because then we go to February 9th of 2019 when the second season of the Overwatch League begins with 8 expansion teams. We have the Chengdu Hunters, the Guangzhou Charge, the Hangzhou Spark, the Atlanta Rain, shout out Kitty Bean in the chat, the Washington Justice, the Toronto Defiant, the Vancouver Titans, and finally the Paris Eternal. Boo, Paris Eternal. And that also, of course, brings us to the LA homestand, which I believe you were at. Were you not, Samson?
I was in 2019. Can we back up a little to
of course
revealing the Vancouver Titans? So
sure.
So yeah, end of the 2018 first inaugural season, rumors started circling around that hey, we're getting like a lot more teams, which is cool. Vancouver, sure, it's never going to be on the first pick on everyone's minds, but then the rumors started circulating. I forget where I found it, but I literally saw a leaked logo of one of the first drafts of the Vancouver Titans. So I was like, is this real? Like, is Vancouver getting a team? And then you get the rumors that the top Korean team at the time, all young rookies, 18-year-olds, runaways, like Vancouver bought them. The Aquilinis bought them, and I'm like,
there's a name I haven't heard in
That,
6 years.
that's crazy. Oh, really? I hear about the Aquilinas like every other week.
That's funny.
um, and then I went to the reveal party. I wish I had the footage for this, but like, yeah, they flew the entire team in from Korea, gave them housing, told them to play out of a couple apartments in Vancouver.
Mhm.
And then that was like a big reveal, and Vancouver Titans had a huge following in the first year, because the team that they
They just
were, the Runaways,
transplanted them. Yeah.
yeah, they transplanted them. They were the biggest team in Korea at the time. So, friend of the show, Chris Golden, Ready Set Pone, Light Force, Ready Set Pone, I heard was like getting insane numbers on their podcast just because there was this fervor of a podcast to cover the Titans and their shenanigans going through the year. Literally, it's a sports podcast. So I thought that was so cool. I was in there. I wasn't listening to podcasts every week, but I was watching every game. I was at the watch parties. I was cheering them on, buying merch, and I
Mhm.
became like I met a lot of cool people. Shout out to Sir Dr. JM in the podcast.
That's me.
Through the Titans, through Ready Set Pone, through just being a part of the community, and yeah, that was really cool. So this was the year the Titans entered in 2019.
Sure was. But it was also the year when you went to the LA homestand, right?
Ah.
I'll let you catch your breath, but then tell me about that.
So about I think this was August 2019. This year, this was technically the second year of the Overwatch League, and the entire concept of the Overwatch League, like we skipped over this, but they were playing out of
We did, didn't we?
essentially a studio in Burbank. All these teams that represented all these cities all over the world, they were technically playing in Los Angeles or the Los Angeles area. The idea in the third year is that they're going to actually, yeah, play into home cities. They'll tour around, essentially be like, this sounds bad, like a circus act that will tour around to different cities and do like homestands. In 2019, they decided to do a couple trial runs of this. They did the
Mhm.
Dallas one, which was incredibly successful. They did one in, I think Atlanta had one as well. Um, and then and then the last one was in, well, the last one before the grand finals was in Los Angeles. Um, the LA homestand, even though like the entire rest of the season took place in Burbank, this one took place in a theater in proper like downtown Los
Mhm.
Angeles, sponsored by Kit Kat, the Kit Kat rivalry. And that was a lot of fun. Like I flew in with my now wife and one of our friends to go to this homestand, and we had like such a blast. All the activations, just meeting people you're chatting with online, meeting people that you've been watching for the past 2 years, like the casters, the players, seeing them in person. It was really cool to yeah, like see them in person. Batgirl in the chat says San Francisco shock. I have a photo of myself with the team at the homestand. We caught them leaving the venue, so we got a photo of them.
Nice.
Yeah, SF Shock. I think technically NRG Shock is one of the teams that are playing in the OWCS right now, so
Yeah.
they're kind of still
I
around.
think they might have bowed out after the second or
Okay,
third
never mind
season,
then.
but yeah, they were originally in the OWCS. Anyways,
That's wild. But yeah, that was like my first taste of like, okay, this esports thing is pretty cool. Like at that time as well, 2019, like League of Legends has been going on for a long time, and they've had these kind of events touring around at a bigger scale as well. So like it was nice to be like, cool, now there's one for me. Like I don't play League, but yeah, more Overwatch, and like, yeah, just meeting all the folks in person was
yeah,
super cool. And
yeah.
I
So
met Andy Cortez from Kind
yeah,
of Funny.
if anyone that was here during the intro there, you might have seen that picture. I noticed that you met Andy Cortez. That one picture with him. That
I
was pretty
sold I
sick.
sold him a ticket
Really?
because I think at the time like we had a fourth friend that was going to come, and then she kind of backed out. So now I'm like, well, I got this extra ticket now. And then I think Andy, still using Twitter at the time, was like, anybody got an extra ticket? And then I just wrote like, hey, I do.
That's
And then we
hilarious.
like did the thing, and then I was like, hey, can I have a
You're like,
photo?
hey, I
Like I
actually
like
know
Kind
who
of
you
Funny.
are.
Yeah, I'm like I really like Kind of Funny. I'm like
That's
awesome.
hilarious. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, go ahead.
That girl in the chat says Rainbow Six Pro League was massive too. That's what I also heard. Like Rainbow Six is a huge esports following, and that one kind of makes a lot of sense as well. Oh, Counter Strike as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fucking
Um,
Andy.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned the fact that in 2019, the second season, they were doing sort of mock homestands, right? Where they would, hey, we're going to bring these teams to this city and they're going to play and everything. And the reason they did that is because in 2020, which was going to be the third season, the plan was for every team to only for it to be structured just like a professional North American sports league. Vancouver would have their home games. They would play out of their own stadium or their own facility in Vancouver. And then, they'd go for a road trip and they'd go play a game in San Francisco and then a game in LA. And then they'd, I don't know, make their way back up, come play in Vancouver again. But every team was supposed to play at their own home venue and have teams there. And it was supposed to be a live in-person thing that you could go to. Of course, we all know what happened in 2020 that caused that to implode upon itself.
It was so sad though. Like I think I obviously had tickets to the Vancouver one. They were going to play out of Rogers Arena where they host the Canucks and all that. I don't think tickets were selling very well. I think even at the time, like Overwatch was starting to lose its appeal and its mainstream, all that in 2020. And like I think I sold the card somewhere, but it's like a very sad version of the Titans logo. Like he's just he's just sad and crying, and it says like, guys, like I'm sorry we had to cancel the event. Hope to see you if it ever comes back together.
That's so funny.
I have the card somewhere. Like I'm like it was pretty sad and during COVID, like among other things. It's not obviously the end of the world for the Titans at least, but it was pretty funny.
No, and that's the thing, right? I mean, you mentioned you have heard that ticket sales weren't very good. The inside track tells me, and I feel like I can probably reveal now that the inside track was, you've already mentioned him on this show, Chris Golden, Lightforce, who has connections in the Canucks, very much told me that, ticket sales were not good. And they were probably pretty glad that they got to cancel that event because it wasn't looking so good. But anyways.
That's, I mean,
disappointing. Obviously.
It's disappointing, but I like even as a fan, I could see like, the mainstream appeal of Overwatch was more or less weeding. And this is like, I guess, a grander conversation about the popularity of the game. Cause it had an explosive launch in 2016, but by 2020, it's been out for 4 years. And this is once again, an even broader conversation about how they approach the game. Like Jeff Kaplan at the time didn't see this game as a live service game. He saw this as like a package. We'll release a little bit of expansions here and there, but then, hey, we're going to move on to the next thing. So because of that like idea that this is not a live service game, we're not going to do like seasons and consistent hero and map releases and skins and all that. It started to leave people's consciousnesses because people moved on to newer games like Apex, Fortnite, of course. They had more of a consistent model. So those players that were looking for that live service thing moved on to those things. Overwatch was going to be this box title that just happens to be online and happens to have hero releases. It was never supposed to be a live service game.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of that kind of strategy and everything, they launched with 21 heroes. In 2016, they also released Ana as the first, whatever you want to call it, expansion hero, followed by Sombra. So technically, we got launch plus 2. In 2017, there were 2 more characters, Orisa, Doomfist, and Moira. In 2018, there were actually, 3 characters as well, Brigitte, Wrecking Ball, and Ash. And then as we come into 2019, things were slowing down. That's when we had Baptiste and Sigma, but we did not get a third hero that year. And of course, I already mentioned in 2020, that's when Echo came, and Echo would be the last release character before Overwatch 2. And this is kind of a perfect segue because we were talking about 2019. That is what I call the launch era. Of course, May 2016 through to mid 2020. That takes us to late 2020 up until about October 3rd, 2022, a period where I like to call the Dark Ages. This is when, like I said, we got one hero. We had the double shield meta, which was balls, if you ask me. we had 2.5 years between Echo being that final character and the release of Overwatch 2. We did, of course, at the tail end of that, before we get to Overwatch 2, we had the Toronto homestand. That's right. The Overwatch League was still kicking during that time, even though the game was in desperate need of updates and changes. So, there were still balance changes and things like that. But it was clear that like the focus had shifted onto what everyone assumed was Overwatch 2, even though I don't think at that time it had been revealed, or at least it had, shown off much of what it would become. So do you want
Mhm.
to tell us anything about the Toronto homestand
Yeah, well, just
or
at the
that
end of
time?
2019 as well, I think this is like real deep in the Overwatch League things. They introduced roll lock in like the last 2 months before the grand finals. And that
It
like
did do that.
that was a really big change and kind of crazy.
That was August of 2018. They introduced roll lock, which was locking it to 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 2 damage characters, which effectively blew up the GOATS meta and nuked the Vancouver Titans into oblivion. They were still good. They were still second place.
it's not
Um,
the best.
but they could
They're
not
only
keep
second.
up
That's 'cause they don't
with
have
the
any skill.
aforementioned San Francisco Shock. And of course, Shock wound
Yeah,
up winning that year. But
true.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so roll lock also happened. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, you're right. You're right.
For Cameron, who's a new knower. Also, Batgirl just saying met both Sombra and Brig voice actors, amazing humans. That is so cool.
Um,
I would love to.
yeah, I have a big crush on Brig, character and voice actress. Anyways, let's continue. I follow her on
um,
Instagram.
so fast forwarding to end of 2022. I don't know if you guys remember, but 2020 there's a little thing called the COVID-19 pandemic,
Sorry, what was
which
that?
it's this thing, this crazy virus that made everybody
Crazy virus.
have to isolate a little bit, and hide in their homes. And because of that, we couldn't have big scale sporting events. We couldn't have couldn't well social gatherings, I guess. And that really like made the Overwatch League weird because you're right, it did keep going, but it also completely transformed into this online league where players were playing from all over the world, but still played for certain cities, which was very weird. And then they tried to open it back up. So the players moved into their homes, but it was still social
My
distancing.
God, that was weird. Weird time
And
to be.
then it's so odd. And then near the end of 2022, September 2022, the world, I mean, like, by then the world started opening up. We had precautions, we had vaccines and all that, helping everybody like come back together. So September 2022, my girlfriend at the time, now wife, my girlfriend at the time, we went to the Toronto homestand. We stayed in Canada. We flew all the way across. Our first time in Toronto. We met so many cool folks
Nice.
from the community there. Like shout out to Mario, shout out to Grand Pooh Bear Richard, no, Great Root Bear. That's not Grand Pooh Bear. Great Root Bear. And then just like I mean, we're all Canadian, so it was so nice. Our first time heading over to Toronto, and we attended the homestand support in Canada. Of course, shout out to Adam Adamo, CEO of
Mm-hmm.
um, Overactive
Overactive
Media,
media.
who's been on this podcast before talking about his experience running an esports company. So shout out to them. And then just cheered on our Titans, cheered on all the teams there. Really, it was just like a celebration of, isn't it so cool that we have a esports event in Canada, and isn't it so cool that we're all finally out of our isolation and coming back together? And I think that was what made the Toronto homestand really special. And around that time was the release of Overwatch 2 as well, which was like, thank goodness, because we were like, I don't know how we did it, but for 2.5 years, you mentioned this, 2.5 years during COVID, we still played Overwatch, which was
Yeah.
nuts. A game with no new content.
It's very true. And now like, I've kind of breezed over a lot of this stuff, but like there were big changes leading up to Overwatch 2 as well. I mean, you mentioned the homestand was around September. Is that right? In Toronto?
Yeah, end of September. It was still pretty much summertime. So we were able to do a lot of touristy things and
See,
go to a Blue Jays game.
and the funny thing about that is October of 2022 is when the game went free to play. that was before then. You still had to buy the game. Of course, it went absolutely crazy with sales and stuff like that all the time. There was a promotion with 7-Eleven where you could get a free copy of the game by buying a Slurpee. Since we have some viewers here, give me 2 seconds to show off my collection.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, we didn't even mention the cups and I have a Bud Light with the Titans logo on it.
These are my cups.
So
These are my
for
Slurpee
a while,
cups. I have a lot of them. You can see how many are here. Just wait, there's more.
Oh my gosh.
These are Overwatch League cups. I collected all of the Vancouver Titans.
Even I don't have those cups. Like, I don't know
I can't
how.
hear you, Samson. I don't have my headphones
Holy crap! There's
Look,
so
there's
many.
more.
I don't even know how Jordan got so many.
Don't worry, there's more.
He's still going. So the Vancouver Titans.
Sorry,
they're owned by the same owners as the Canucks. Like I said, but I guess they had like a brand deal with Circle K, which is kind of like our version of Max, our version of, it's like a Canadian 7-Eleven. And then they had this little promotion where it's like, hey, come to Circle K and we have these special Vancouver Titans Slurpee cups. And yeah, they had like the players printed on them. So I think for the average person, they would not know who any of these people are. But for me and Jordan, we started buying Slurpees like
there's Dalton.
Buying so many. There's so many players on that have come and gone.
Shockwave.
Like all these kiddos are now like full grown adults, right?
Twilight, amazing. Ana player, eventually went to the San Francisco Shock. Yeah. Anyways, I have a lot of these goddamn cups.
French Tip Design says, in case we need 43 cups, we know a guy.
Yeah, exactly. Now, sorry about that. That totally derailed me.
That's great because I think like during like that Overwatch League era, this was the weird stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
Like you had these cups, you had the watch parties were pretty fun, but we had a guy show up all the time in like a green Sasquatch costume where like, first of all, where'd you find like a green Sasquatch? Like this green Sasquatch. Cool. He just wore the costume the entire watch party. It was crazy.
Right on. Right. Well, anyways, sorry about that little derailment. That was the Overwatch League was doing its thing and trying to remain relevant in some way. But the point was the game went free to play in October of 2022. And that was also when they announced that it was going 5v5 in Overwatch 2.
No, so, I think...
Did they go 5v5 before Overwatch 2?
I think they teased Overwatch 2 throughout that year.
Right.
And then the league started playing in Overwatch 2, and it made it super weird. Because it's like, why are we watching this game that technically we can't even play? So like Overwatch originally was 6 versus 6. And then for balancing, whatever, division, whatever, they already announced Overwatch 2. But only the league was playing Overwatch 2, and everybody else had to wait like another couple months.
And you're totally right. They couldn't even like go home and scrim on 5v5. They were still playing 6v6 at their places, and people would build custom games for them to do 5v5. But it was all like characters were unbalanced compared to what they would be and everything. So it was messed
very
up.
Odd.
Very odd.
Very weird year. Bad girl in the chat saying, I'm still stuck on how many cups there are. I didn't even know he had that many cups back. Look, like I knew Jordan had all the cups. I didn't know there were that many cups.
The funny thing is, man, if I still had my Twitter, I used to post videos of messing with these cups to try and get Vancouver Titans attention. It never worked. But like I go to my like father-in-law's house and he has these cups like laying around his house still too because of us. Like it's hilarious. But anyways, that kind of brings us. So the Dark Ages, like I said, late 2020 through to October 3rd, 2022. Of course, Overwatch 2 will release at some point. I think October.
It was shortly after that. It was very close to that. Oh,
where's my? I'm looking. I was in the wrong spot on my document. There it is. October 22nd is when, or October 2022 is when the game went free to play and switched to 5v5. That must be the release of Overwatch 2. But before we get into the Overwatch 2 era, we, of course, put out a form online for people to answer. And Samson, I'd love for you to bring up some of those and tell us a little bit about what some people said and what questions you put out to them.
Right. So I put out a nice little Google form, asking a couple questions just about Overwatch in general and your journey and all that. We had a couple responses, and I'll start with the ones with our true fans. Well, I don't want to say that with some of the folks in the chat who are also our true fans. I'll start with Batgirl's response. Uh, some of the questions I asked. Batgirl, when did you start playing Overwatch? Day one, pre-ordered the collector's item. Batgirl, I have a question for you in the chat. Did you get the Widow Noir skin? Because if you did, that is the rare skin. I have the same one. It's a pre-order skin. I think that is the rare skin in the chat or in the game right now. Yes, you did. Awesome.
Widow Noah.
Yeah, that Noir skin, very cool. Season one was peak. They had a team and they killed it. Soldier was Batgirl's favorite hero. Do you still play? No, simply because there's burnt out from too much Overwatch, I'm assuming, and the squad just kind of went their separate ways. Story of a lot of lives. How would you improve the 10th anniversary? Was one of the questions I asked. Just maintain the toxic servers. I'll come back to that actually, and maintain the anti-cheat system. Good anti-cheat in Overwatch. Now, you know what's funny about the toxic servers is they recently implemented a post-match voice chat lobby, but at least for me, the times that I try to join in, nobody enters it and starts shit talking each other. Like I'm like, it'd be so funny, like just to enter and like, yeah, shit talk the enemy team, but nobody uses it, which is like
Yeah.
sad. Is it?
Yeah,
But,
totally.
yeah. And my bonus question for everyone: name a collab or a collab that you want, or your favorite collab or collab that you want. And Batgirl, I really like your answer. Licensed horror skins for the Halloween events. Maybe
Oh,
I'd come back for that.
that's
So I'm
cool.
assuming stuff like uh, Jason Voorhees,
Yep.
Freddy
Got it.
Krueger. We got I don't know, Slender Man would be kind of cool.
Ghostface.
Oh yeah, of course, Ghostface, Freddy Fazbear. I don't know. I think that'd be I think that'd be a really really fun event and not out of the
That would be
realm of
cool.
possibility now. So
Yeah.
good answers.
Yeah.
Should I do another answer about some
Yeah.
of the things in the
Hit
chat?
us with two more people's submissions, please.
Sounds good. We got Cam, aka The Friendship Design.
I know that
Shout
guy.
out to Cameron, twitch.tv/The Friendship Design every morning. Watch him with your coffee. When did you start playing Overwatch? And this is a great one. This year with the relaunch,
Yep.
which is like for the 10th year. We're still bringing friends in with the relaunch. Of course, Overwatch again, just Overwatch 1. Talking about like his journey and experience with it. He was nervous and with a huge game and a huge fan base. Oh, sorry, let me read this again. Tell us about your experience and journey with Overwatch. I was nervous with a huge game fan base, but I learned quickly with my Gulu boys and Sup Jamil. So there are lots of folks that help lead the way, of course. His favorite hero is Ilari. I like Ilari as well. Very cool. Very underrated character in my opinion, because you can also like set the little pylon and then you can just focus on the shooting. Do you still play or why not? He says, not regularly. There's just so many games out right now. True. But I know I'll be back this year. And yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back to that. How would you improve the 10th anniversary celebration? More cross promotions outside the video game space.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Overwatch is such a strong IP. I'd love to see an announcement of a TV show like Arcane.
That's the dream. Long
Future
rumored.
collab.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Future collab. Overwatch anime. I need it.
Yeah.
And
That'd be tight.
oh
I'd be so into that.
So, Cameron, I know you're in the chat, so I'm gonna shoot you some fun knowledge here.
Address you directly.
Address
Confront
you
him.
directly. I'm looking in the camera. There was a rumor, and I think it's a rumor, that there was an Overwatch TV show of some sort in the works with Netflix, but because and this is where it gets hazy for me. I think like Activision poached Netflix's guy, or like Netflix poached Activision's guy. then there was bad blood, and they ended up canceling that or like shelving it indefinitely kind of thing. So it was because the relationship is strained is what I'm saying between like Activision and Netflix. However, changing of the guard, lots of people have moved in and out. I'm sure they are still discussing it because I feel like that's the natural next step to bring like this
Yeah.
IP to a wider audience. But yeah, it's just kind of funny how that happened. I think it's in that Jason Schreier.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure it's in the book. I did a quick Google here, and it does say that Overwatch animated television series was quietly canceled before it ever aired after a legal dispute between Activision Blizzard and Netflix. Around 2020, Activision Blizzard and Netflix were collaborating on a slate of animated series based on Blizzard's IPs, including Overwatch, Diablo, and StarCraft. The legal dispute was the partnership fell apart after Netflix hired Activision Blizzard's CFO, Spencer Newman, mid-contract. So you pretty much nailed that, Samson. But
Crazy stuff.
yeah,
Telling you I'm a nerd.
that's right.
The last response I'll bring in is from my beautiful wife. I'll just call her Q to keep her anonymous.
Sure.
Kind of.
You've never said her name on show.
Yeah, right. When did you start playing Overwatch? In the beta. I was there. We were playing together, but like in a big friend group kind of way. Tell us about your experience. OG Overwatch was fun. True. It's a time in your life kind of thing too. Like we were all younger. We had no real responsibilities.
So true.
Who's your main or favorite hero? Anna. I'm like,
nice.
Pretty good. Purple.
Yeah.
Purple people.
Purple indeed.
Do you still play? Why or why not? No. No time.
That's it. Just no. Fuck that
no
game.
time. No time.
Yeah.
How would you improve the 10th anniversary celebration? Better rewards. That's all she wrote. But I'm going to ask
that's fair.
Like what? Like they have a lot of loot boxes. There's a loot box you get for logging in right now. I need to do that after this episode.
Log in today.
I missed it early in the chat, but Kayla said she wants to shout out to Kayla, Gray Pallets and Pages. She wants to play Overwatch right meow. If you log in right meow, you get an anniversary loot box with like 4 legendary skins, which is what everyone was complaining about last week. So make sure you do that, Kayla, in the chat if you're still here.
Yeah.
And I really liked her answer for this one. Batgirl, you might like it too. Of course, name or favorite collab that you want. And she wrote Resident Evil.
Oh, cool.
And I really like that answer because, like, there would be some things that would translate really well. Lady Demetresque. Now we have Domina, the big lady. Oh my gosh.
You just did something to me.
Lady Demetresque. Domina. We can get like an Albert Wesker soldier skin, just cool.
Soldier's got enough skins. Give it to Junkrat.
Ooh, for Albert Wesker. We can have like, of course, the main characters like what Leon. Who would Leon be?
I mean, I immediately thought of Soldier, but that's like so
Cassidy.
obvious again. Emery.
Now he's got the
Cassidy.
cool Requiem gun, right? Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's doable. And then Capcom. They're not shy to doing collaborations with outside game studios. I'll say that. Yeah.
This seems
Fat Girl says high five, Mrs. Samson. I'll pass it on.
This seems like a good time for me to ask you, Samson, what is your favorite crossover that has actually happened in Overwatch? And of course, do you have one that you'd like to see? Now, would you like a refresher on what crossovers have come to?
I think for the sake of our audience, yes, we should. Because you sent me a list earlier, but it was a lot shorter and bigger than I remembered. So
that's the thing. There weren't as many as I expected, but also it's like not things that jump out at you. So one big thing that became very apparent when Overwatch started doing collabs, because they didn't do them for a long time, is that there's a large anime fan base in Overwatch. So you'll hear a number of anime shows in here, but I'm just going to start at the top of the list. So the first one we have here is One Punch Man. We had Le Seraphim, Cowboy Bebop. We had a Porsche crossover, the car manufacturer, Transformers, World of Warcraft, My Hero Academia, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Gundam, Street Fighter 6. Speaking of Capcom, it's happened before. Could easily see a Resident Evil 1.
Okay.
There was a G.I. Joe crossover. There was a Nerf crossover, like the toy guns. Persona 5. There was a China exclusive crossover with Naraka Blade Point. There was a Near Automata crossover. Shout out Gianni in the chat if he's there. If not, shout out Gianni.
Shout out Gianni in general.
There was a Diablo 4 crossover, which Diablo and WoW, obviously both owned by Blizzard. And the final one that I've left off the list, Hello Kitty and Friends.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
It's Perry in the chat says random ass list. It is so random. You have anime shows, you have video games, and not just like, Persona 5, which is arguably an anime video game, Street Fighter 6. You have, Hello Kitty, you have Diablo, you have a car manufacturer, you have Transformers, like such a weird mix. And yet I love them all. But go ahead. What's your favorite?
I like a lot of these, but I will admit, not all. Like the ones I liked still didn't get me to swipe the card, for one reason or another. Mostly, I should be more responsible with my finances. But off the top, like Le Seraphim being a collab, being the first, like that's kind of weird one, made me a fan of Le Seraphim, so it worked.
Yep, me too.
Very very good pull there. So I like that one. The Porsche one was also kind of wild. And before I keep going down, what's up, Story Motors? Shout out to Mr. Hawks. Shout out to Heroic Headgear. Matt Exposure in the chat. Welcome,
hello, friends.
Verum Dex, of course. Verum Dex, you followed earlier as we started. Thank you for the follow. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Mr. Hawks, thanks again for the support. We are just talking about Overwatch and the collabs in this part of the show, but welcome to Grow Up, Level Up. This is a good time to remind everybody, to remind the good people, Jordan, that we are a podcast talking about the games that helped us grow up and the games that we are playing today. If that interests you, please like, comment, follow, and subscribe everywhere that you can on YouTube as well. And growuplevelup.com if you want to pick up some merch. Follower goal hit. Hell yeah, 30 followers. Nice, let's go. I didn't even know that was a thing. Right on. Thank you. Hey, it's all good, Madeline Stanley, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, everybody. We're just going through the entire 10-year timeline of Overwatch. Right now, we're at the part in Overwatch 2 where they started doing crazy collabs. Jordan went through the list. I'm just giving my favorite picks. Of course, I said Le Seraphim I really like. I think the next one that stuck out to me is the Porsche collab. I think like Diva got a skin and Farah got a skin. I think that is just so random and out there that I really liked that one. And if I had to pick one more, I think just out of pure WTF, but also pure like, wow, this is art, is the Hello Kitty and Friends collab.
Yeah.
Just the way they were able to translate all of that into like the heroes and their skins and everything was amazing. So very, very funny amount of collabs. Lots of Hasbro, Capcom, like we said, and I hope they do a Resident Evil one. So yeah, collabs, very, very funny. Shout out to Story Motors. How do we do that?
There we go. I did it.
Oh, there we go.
I figured it out. Thank you, Batgirl. You the best. No, thank you, Perry. Sorry, Perry. You the best. The seasoned mod there. I'm new to mods, so. Anyways.
So, Jordan, what are your collabs that kind of speak to you?
Honestly, like I look at this list and I think one of the ones that I appreciate the most is the Street Fighter 6 collab. I don't really know where it came from, but some of those skins just work so well. I just want to look up Overwatch Blanca skin. Who had the Blanca skin? Winston, of course, got this Blanca skin where he's this green monster ape, and it's just so cool. Another one that I think they did really well is the Transformers one. They really have some cool looking skins there. But in terms of my favorite, it's probably got to be Street Fighter 6, and then a close second, probably World of Warcraft, which to me, how could they not? How did they go this long without really doing that? Especially when Blizzard, of course, had Heroes of the Storm as well. And they had skins for characters in Overwatch that were only in Heroes of the Storm that never made it to Overwatch. And it always seemed like such a natural evolution to me. Like, why aren't you bringing these wicked ass skins over to Overwatch? But anyways, they eventually got there. Of course, they did have some like BlizzCon exclusive crossover skins. Genji got an Illidan skin, I believe, at one of the BlizzCons. And that one was really sick. So Anyways,
I think Symmetra got one as well, and I
yes,
want to bring up, I forget how they did it. Well, one, Brig got a medic ship from StarCraft skin. That was like a Twitch sub
that's from
promotion.
StarCraft. I
Yes,
didn't know
and
that.
then,
I think I have that.
um, okay, and then I think like Reinhardt got a Titus skin from StarCraft as well. But I forgot
That's
how you
right.
got that. I forgot if you just paid
Yes.
straight up cash
Yeah.
or it was an interesting collab. Yeah. Perry says, just looked at the Hello Kitty collab, like, and they
It's
all look cute. It's
so
really
good,
well done.
Perry. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do a really good job with those collabs. They never seem to just copy paste the character, which say what you will about Fortnite. I love the collabs in Fortnite, and I tend to lean more towards the stylized collabs in Fortnite. So when they do something like the pen and ink ones that they've been doing recently with Batman and Mandalorian, I think those are really cool. But typically in something like Fortnite, the skin is just the character. Whereas in Overwatch, they really do tend to make the skin suit or sort of
Hmm.
fit the character, right? They still have that identity of the Overwatch character, if you ask me. So
I think they said this, but they want to treat it as if the Overwatch characters were like cosplaying
yeah, yeah,
the other IP or whatever.
yeah, which is totally wicked. Um, Now, since we're talking about crossovers and skins, I did just do a quick Google search on the rarest skins in Overwatch. And as you mentioned, Noir Widowmaker was a pre order bonus for the original Overwatch Origins edition. And that is probably the rarest one, which surprises me because I have like some launch edition of Overwatch and it came with the Bastion Overgrowth skin. But apparently that one, not so rare. So,
Oh,
anyways, yeah,
because I think you could have bought it for a while
could
after
you?
the game came out.
That's true. That's true.
Um, but
Yeah,
it came out before they had the animation where it's from or the
good
cinematic where
point.
it's from.
Yeah,
So
good point.
if you're nowhere.
Now, some of the other ones that come up when you search for rarest skin in Overwatch, the Gentle Monster Diva skin, which is likely the absolute rarest skin because this was a crossover skin limited to a physical purchase of some actual physical sunglasses. The brand is Gentle Monster, and they sold a pair of sunglasses that were a crossover with Overwatch. And if you got the sunglasses, you got the skin in game. So that one
Very
is like
interesting.
wildly exclusive, and like obviously nobody bought it because who does a crossover with sunglasses? And who does a crossover with not Ray-Bans? If you're going to do sunglasses, you do a crossover with Ray-Ban or maybe Pit Viper, something like that, right? Like,
I think
what is
Gentle
Gentle
Monster
Monster?
is
I've
pretty
never heard of
popular, and
Gentle Monster. No, there's no way.
it's a newer brand, but I think they're big in Asia, so that
Sure.
might be why
You're
they did
probably right.
it. But
Yeah, you're
yeah,
probably right. Some of the other rare skins, we have BlizzCon Bastion from 2016 and BlizzCon Winston from 2017. Those were given to ticket holders and attendees of BlizzCon only. There's another one, the Medic/Challenge skins, which were limited time events in the game, basically, where you could earn a skin. So it does list the Brick Bastion, which is a Lego Bastion skin, which I do have. Medic Brigitte, which I believe I have, and Kerrigan Widowmaker, which, again, I do have.
I also have that one.
The final one on the list here that I'm going to mention, there is another one that's related to the Overwatch League that I'm actually not going to talk about because it doesn't deserve the time of day. But the Pink Mercy skin was once upon a time the rarest skin because it was a breast cancer awareness fundraiser only. But they have since brought that back for another one or for another round. And they also introduced a rose gold Mercy at the same time, I believe. So
I can't believe they would devalue my donation to breast cancer like that.
right. Yeah. How
That was
dare they?
sarcasm. That was sarcasm.
How dare they make you donate again? Now, audience, Samson has to take a quick break. So
I'll just be right back.
he's gonna
I'm
run
gonna leave
away
you
for
with
a
Jordan.
second here, but I will take good care of you. And when Samson gets back, we'll dive into everything Overwatch 2 as we move into the new era of Overwatch, which I like to call the Overwatch 2 era. But in the meantime, I would love to know from anyone else who's in chat still. Do you have any fun skins that you love? Hold it. Oh, no, he doesn't. No. Oh, no, it's happening. It's happening. I still have my Tracer display cutouts, Batgirl. That's amazing. I would kill to have a cardboard cutout of an Overwatch character in the background. That's great. For the record, Samson is not going to poop, which is what the hold it's in chat are about. I have it on good authority that he did that before the show. Maybe I have an inside man in his house that messaged me and said he's pooping. Maybe I have cameras in his house. I don't know. He'll never know either. He can't hear anything we're saying. So, well, time will tell. Time will tell. Oh, Perry. Yes. Perry says, Perry in the chat says she's in his walls, which impressive. You can be in two places at once because Perry's also in my walls listening to this very recording right now. So I don't know if you could hear a bunch of tapping a second ago. It's definitely not my dogs on the floor above me going crazy because my wife just got home. It's definitely Perry in the walls tapping her fingers. So now while Samson's doing that, why is nobody holding it? No, I told you he's not pooping. Okay. We know he already did that. Well, at least he told me he's not pooping. Maybe he is. Maybe he lied to me. He just didn't want me to tell him he has to hold it. But in the meantime, let me see. Should I show off my cups again? Because they're right here. For anyone that wasn't here before, I had an obscene amount of Circle K Overwatch League cups that I'm just going to keep pulling out here. Look at that. They go off screen. There's so many of them. Hi, Nate. Good to see you here. Thank you to all the raiders that dropped by. If you're still there or if you swung in before, always exciting to see you guys. And yeah, I mean, hey, Samson didn't even know he had a follower goal on this channel here, but we hit it because of that. So hooray. Sadly, just Tracer. She was the main display we had. Widow never got the love she deserved. Everybody poops, but not Samson, says Davy James. That's right. So are there duplicates or are they all the same? There's got to be some duplicates in here. So some of them here, like this one, this is just like a nice little scenic one. But let's see, we'll probably get a dupe here. This is just a plain one. It's just like basically the logo. Let's see what's here. Oh. We do have some duplicates for sure. So this is one of the later teams. We got Fried Wiener, we got Tiru, we got Fire, we got Dalton, we got Rolf, and we got Linkser on that roster. Here's Dalton. This is the standalone Dalton. Of course, only Dalton, not the whole team. Fried Wiener, you heard it here first, yeah. Now, the funny thing is, on broadcast, they weren't allowed to say Fried Wiener, so they would call him Fred Winner a lot of the time. We got Tiru here. We got, Samson's back. Time to interrupt.
Well, don't let me stop the party.
We were just talking about Fried Wiener. This is just
oh my gosh, Fried Wiener. What's he up
I know.
To?
Here's the thing. I'm looking at these cups and like Linkser. Remember Linkser of the Houston Outlaws before he came? Yeah. Over here. Here's the first dupe. So we had this one already. So definitely a few duplicates in here. But it took me maybe a quarter of that stack to find a dupe. So I've definitely got some duplicates in here. But anyways.
It Samson. Is so... I think about this as you were going through the players. I thought about this like because a lot of these players, they were more or less young kids. Like they're like in their like 18, 19, 20.
Absolutely.
And I'm just thinking like I was working at summer camp partying. These kids are like halfway around the world or like in a different country working, like maybe alone. Like I'm like, wow, what a different growing up experience.
Yeah, totally.
Level up experience. Sorry, what was your question?
No, that's okay. They're over on Ready Set Pwn, the Overwatch League podcast that I was once on. We interviewed a few of the players, and in particular, we interviewed Punk's dad. Do you remember Punk?
Oh, yes.
Played for the Boston Uprising for a long time. But yeah, he was Australian, and he came to live in the States and play for the Overwatch League. And his dad was like pretty well known in the scene as being a good supportive dad. So on Ready Set Pwn, we brought him on, and we talked to him all about the experience of being a pro gamer dad, especially with a kid living literally across the ocean from him. So yeah, lots of crazy stuff. And he was 19 at the time, right? So
right. And like what a cool, great experience you can take on for the rest of your life. Like, sure, you're not going to be a professional gamer forever, maybe, unless you're Faker.
Unless you're a Faker.
Man. Yeah.
Totally.
Shout out Faker.
Oh, no. Thank you for allowing that, Samson. I was just about to do that.
Mr. Hawks saying, this is my first time seeing your faces, and fuck you both for being so handsome. Hey, it goes both ways. Shout out.
Yeah.
I'll raise a beer.
I mean,
that.
Mr. Hawks, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was inspired by you and put the jerseys for the Overwatch League up in the background. That was a post-show special. I hopped up on my desk and put up my Toronto Defiant jersey here and Florida Mayhem jersey there.
Yeah,
So there you go.
if it encourages you to join for the post show, like Batgirl was, you might get to see feet for free.
No, I got socks on now. No feet for
Darn.
post showers, only pre showers.
Darn. Jerseys do look good though. Jerseys do look good.
Thank you. Let's get back into it. So now we have finished the original Overwatch era. Of course, we took you through the launch era, a lot of the early Overwatch League, and the Dark Ages. Then we get into the Overwatch 2 era, roughly or exactly October 4th, 2022. The game goes free to play, 5v5 changes, 1 tank, 2 supports, 2 damage. The whole tank role was revamped because of this. We had new heroes Sojourn, Kiriko, and Junker Queen all on release. And at this point, we got some new maps. And
New
then,
modes.
We got new modes. We got the push mode. I think there was another, I think Clash came out at some point in here.
Flashpoint, I think, was the one. And then Clash came out
right
pretty soon after, like a year after, maybe.
Yes, that's right. So this era here, a little less than 2 years. I'm thinking October 2022 to January 2024. This was Overwatch 2 sort of, hey, here's our big reveal. Here's our big change. Here's the new. And I think the reception was largely like, hey, this game is still fun, but it changed from 6v6 to 5v5, and there's a couple new heroes. And it seemed like that was it. And in a lot of ways, I think the game kind of got stagnant at this point. This was, they finally introduced a battle pass, of course. This takes us through pretty much the first 8 seasons of Overwatch 2. And,
wow.
Due to balancing, some seasons were more fun than others. Generally speaking, a new hero would come out, and that hero would be overpowered, and everyone would love it because they would dominate, or hate it because they would get dominated. And then eventually the game changes again. So I'm curious, Samson, do you have any thoughts about that? Those early days of Overwatch 2?
I think this was like the game aside, this was kind of the first time everyone's thought about Overwatch again in a long time.
Yeah.
Because until then, it was like, oh yeah, Overwatch was fun when it came out. And then, we didn't even mention the fact that they announced an Overwatch 2, and then the pandemic happened, and Overwatch 2 was supposed to be this PvE thing, and then it became not a PvE thing.
Yeah.
So man, we completely skipped over that, but we don't have to dwell on it. But basically, Overwatch 2 wasn't what Overwatch 2 was supposed to be. As well, in this time, in that pandemic gap, Jeff Kaplan left the team, and Aaron Keller was named the new director.
Yes.
So lots of changes internally on the team, lots of more or less dirty laundry being aired out into public for everybody to see. So when Overwatch 2 launched, as you were saying, in 2022, it was messier than folks would like it, for sure. Sorry, what was your question again?
No, I was just saying, what are your thoughts on early Overwatch 2 days kind of thing? For me, it was fun. It was refreshing. And it was nice that, there was hype around the game again, even if there was also, I think, a lot of disappointment, right? The promise of Overwatch 2 was originally the PvE, which we don't need to beat this to death because everyone knows this story. But it didn't come at launch. And then fast forward 6 months and it still wasn't there. And then 6 months later and it still wasn't there. And then a year later, they released sort of their attempt at PvE, at a larger PvE. It was a fully paid $60 expansion. And it was more of the same sort of PvE events that they had previously done. And I think people were disappointed. And shortly after that, they kind of finally had to come forward and be like, yeah, look, it's not happening.
It's not fun. Like no one's buying it. It's not fun. We're not going to waste time doing this just because the old guard said that this was a thing. Like we're going to reallocate our resources, which is really hard to do and brave to do, but I'm glad they did. And before I dive into my thoughts on Overwatch 2, my apologies for derailing slightly. Mr. Hawks in the chat says, I'm late. I don't know shit about Overwatch or the Overwatch League. That's fine. That's what this whole episode's for. but have a feeling that Samson's not wearing a Tennessee's Titans shirt. No, this is a Vancouver Titans shirt or a jersey. This is the jersey that they would wear on stream, signed by the team at the time. Can you pull up the Linkser era one, Jordan?
Man,
Um,
there's Linkser.
the signatures are on here, just hard to see. And yeah, these are the Vancouver Canucks colors. Yeah, that guy. These are the Vancouver Canucks colors. That's why it's got this Pacific Northwest blue and green and white.
It's true.
So good eye though. Tennessee Titans. I'll have to look that up in a bit. So yeah, my opinion on Overwatch 2 was like, yeah, it's great that everyone is like for me and my friends, like we were all excited to dive back in. Overwatch does hold a special place in our heart. Like in a way, we've been burned by it, of course, over the years as well. But we were excited that we were getting new content for like a game that we still love. And I think, yeah, in this era, I was playing a lot more again, definitely more than I played during the early days of the pandemic. At the same time, it was still like, man, that 5v5 change, it does kind of suck that we have to now tell a friend our party's full. Whereas with six, it felt like you can fit a lot more people in, even though it's one less person. It does feel bad when it's like, I just won't play. And that change did affect our enjoyment of Overwatch 2, but at the same time, like the league was popping, lots of new content for the first time. It was cool to be along that ride of them finding their footing again and basically rebooting itself with like a new team. So all in all, I'll say like I had a lot of fun with the beginning of Overwatch 2. And like you just saying the year 2022, like I can't believe it's 2026. Like Overwatch 2 has been around for arguably more than or longer than the original Overwatch 1 vision.
I guess it's about we're at that middle point, right? 2016 original launch. Like it's kind of it's interesting. We're getting there, but
time flies. It's weird. The days are long, but the years are short.
Absolutely. Now, of course, before we get to the end of 2020 or the start of 2024, when we enter what I like to call the post Overwatch 2 era, we have in September 2023 the final Overwatch League Grand Finals. Now, much of the merch that you see on my back wall here is from when the Toronto Defiant, through my connections with Adam Adamu and Ready Set Pone, were kind enough to get me a media badge to attend the grand finals. And I kid you not, I think I was the first person in that stadium every day. I was seeing the pre-roll graphics before they showed them. I was taking pictures I probably wasn't supposed to take when they put up a big Florida Mayhem win, and then a second later, Houston Outlaws win, just in case. Like they had the graphics made for every team just in case they won. But yeah, like up here, I've got a postcard that was printed for the Toronto homestand. This is a little, you can barely see it there, but a little like fake Polaroid of Brigitte that someone was drawing and then handing out at the event. This is a little Atlanta Rain peach keychain that I bet Kitty Bean in the chat would appreciate. Look at that. There's my actual media badge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then, postcard, these banners they give out for free on the final day. There's another postcard right there, all sorts of stuff. I got my Mayhem jersey at the event. So yeah, I was there. I was into it. And of course I had a media badge, so I could get pretty much anywhere. I was in the post-game interviews with all the players and all sorts of stuff. And it was a hell of a time, a lot of fun. So
I know we're in this era, but I want to jump back 1 year. I was also at the Grand Finals in 2022. We totally forgot to,
did we skip that?
Chat about that. Yeah. Yeah, so after Toronto homestand in 2022, I went to the Grand Finals in Anaheim, California. We don't have to dwell on it. It was super fun. I went like I have family in LA, so that makes it easier to like do hotels and stuff. But like, yeah, I just flew down, met a whole bunch of folks that I've been chatting online for years. The Vancouver Titans were there. Like, obviously, they flew down from Vancouver as well. And I went by myself and had the time of my life. So, what Jordan, when you told me that you were doing that for the 2023 Grand Finals, I'm sure we'll dive into why it's the final Grand Finals. I was like super excited for you. I think I wanted to go as well, but I was buying property at the time that I couldn't swing it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, like the Anaheim Grand Finals was electric. And jumping back to in our timeline to September 2023, where we're at now, it was hosted at the same venue, which is
Right.
the
The Mattamy
Bell
Athletic
something.
Center.
Yeah, like, in Toronto, which is where I was at the Toronto homestand the year prior. So
Right.
great, pretty decent venue, I would say.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah, it
Nice
was
part of town.
honestly, like you say, it was just electric and a ton of fun being in that environment. You before you shouted out a bunch of people that you met there. Obviously, same thing for me. Just meeting a ton of people that I had spoken to online. You already shouted out Mario, but I would be remiss not to mention Navi. I made friends with people like Kitty Bean in the chat, her partner Nikilis. People whose names I don't even
Yeah,
remember, honestly, but I can
Katie,
think of their faces.
Katie
Yeah.
Usagi. Yeah, a lot
Um,
of the staff. Oh, we didn't even talk about this. All the like staff and pseudo celebrities, like the host, the announcers, Jake, Zoe, Golden Boy, like
yeah,
all these folks that we've been watching for years at this point, was at the grand finals.
totally. And it was I mean, I did the same thing. It was a solo trip. I stayed with family and I basically just caught the train down every day. And the only thing I really spent money on was like my flight and then food. Um, so it was, just a ton of fun and meeting all these people that I'd never, that I'd spoken to for years at that point, but never met on until then. So ton of fun. Highly recommend. But of course, that was the end of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League went kaput after that. And I mean, you said, you're sure we'll get into it. I don't
Let's get
know.
into it.
I don't know what there is to say really. The league was a sham to begin with. They apparently, like, again, there was originally a $21 million buy-in in the original season. That was the original 12 teams. The expansion teams had to pay more to get into the league. And they were sold on a hope and a promise that the league was going to be, like you said at the top of the show, the NBA of video games. And boy, howdy, did it not ever live up to that promise. The Toronto Defiant, actually, Overactive Media, the company that owns the Toronto Defiant, wound up suing the league.
Really?
Yeah, because
Well, yes. Okay, I do remember this.
They were promised all sorts of breaks because of 2020, because of COVID and the pandemic, and the homestands that couldn't happen and things like that. And it was just an absolute disaster. Like, they were supposed to get a ton of payouts and they didn't. And then Overactive Media basically said, hey, so we're not going to pay you any of our franchise fees that we owe you because you haven't made good on your end of the deal. And then eventually, I think 3 or 4 other teams came forward and said, we're going to join this. But realistically, and again, off the record, I talked to Adam Adamu at the grand finals, and he was like, oh, every team was in on that. And he's basically like, yeah, we all just went to the league and we're like, screw you guys. We're not paying you. and they were like, okay. So then they eventually settled and every team got, a small payout instead of whatever huge payout they were owed. But, they also didn't have to pay their fees that they owed for the past 3 years of unpaid fees and all this kind of stuff. So it was bonkers. Mr. Hawks, you heard it here first, although you could find it anywhere. $21 million US buy-in for those original 12 slots in the Overwatch League. It was, I mean, it was insane. It was an insane project. Again, you've mentioned it a couple times, but shout out to Jason Schreier's book. Was it called Play Nice or is that a different book?
Play Nice. No, yeah, it was Play Nice. That's the phrase I keep forgetting. Yeah, the Rise and Fall of Blizzard.
If you're curious about the Overwatch League, read, even if you just read that section of his book, he talks a lot about how, for all of his faults, Bobby Kotick, the guy at the top of Activision Blizzard, was a salesman. He could spin a tale, and he convinced some major, major players to buy into the Overwatch League. Mr. Hawks in the chat, David Beckham only paid $25 million to bring Inter Miami CF to MLS, and now they're worth over $1 billion. Yeah, and that was the idea, right? Like, that was supposed to be the Overwatch League. That's why these teams bought in. Mr. Hawks, I said it earlier, but like the Boston Uprising, one of the original Overwatch League teams, was owned by Robert Kraft, who owns the New England Patriots. I said New York
New
Patriots
England,
earlier,
yeah,
but
yeah,
he owns the New England
yeah.
Patriots, or he did. His family does. The Kraft empire of, mac and cheese and ranch dressing and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
So,
And
anyways.
and yeah, like I also mentioned, like the Aquilinis that own the Vancouver Canucks
Mm-hmm.
were also owned the Vancouver
Yeah.
Titans. That's why they shared the
Yeah.
same facility and the same colors. But yeah, it was just like reflecting on the entire league now that we're here. It's like, sure, it would be super cool to have like this at a scale, but and I think this is a broader conversation about esports in general. Like you can go to Mr. Hawks brought it up in the chat, a football game, a soccer game, and you'll understand how to watch that because okay, this team's going that way, this team's going that way. Whoever has the higher score wins. For a game like Overwatch or any esport, you can apply this to Counter Strike, to Rainbow Six that was brought up earlier. Um, you like unless you played the game, you're not gonna know what's happening.
Yeah.
You're gonna see like, oh, okay, the Vancouver team has this Reinhardt big guy with a hammer and these two little guys, but they're moving so fast I can't see them. Also, who's winning? Like are they pushing the payload this way, but this team's pushing the robot that way? Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who's like this is the kind of stuff that like sports work because it's easy to watch. Like
Yeah.
I could turn on the Spurs versus whatever game tonight and I'll know who's winning. You could turn on an Overwatch League game and I guarantee you, like Mr. Hawks, you will not know who's winning
Not
unless
only
you
not
play.
only that, you'll have no freaking clue what's happening because there will be 9 shields and 4 ice effects and 3 fire effects. And for me, watching most esports is like watching rugby. I know something is happening, but I don't understand what is happening, says Mr. Hawks. Also,
Exactly.
shout out Mjolnir in the chat, said craft dinner. We named it better up here. Lol. So true. So true. Love me some good craft dinner. Is there anything else you want to mention about the Overwatch League before we move into sort of the final
The actual
little
game
bit?
of it all. Yeah. Yeah, I would say like with all its faults, like I think the Overwatch League was still an incredibly cool social project. Like
Oh yeah.
not just for myself, but for like a lot of different folks. I would have never met you if
Yeah,
not for the
true.
Overwatch League. I would have never met super cool folks like Chibi. Would have never traveled to Toronto for. Well, I'm sure I would have ended up in Toronto at some point, but I would never went to Toronto or like LA for that kind of event. I would have never, yeah, just met the folks that I've met if not for um, the Overwatch League, not even just Overwatch. Um, so I think that if the idea was to bring folks together from all different walks of life, I think it succeeded in that. As a project itself, even as a young, naive, mid 20s-year-old, when they announced the league, I'm like, oh, what a cool idea. I hope it works out for them. But yeah, I'm not surprised that in the end it did kind of not crash, but did not become the NBA of video games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. If one last thing I'll say about the Overwatch League, if you have any emotional attachment to the Overwatch League, which obviously Samson and I both do, but if you're in the chat or watching this after and you do, go look up Zoe's final speech at the end of the Overwatch League Grand Finals, because she, one of the main hosts of the Overwatch League for its entire run, she delivered a beautiful speech at the very close of the grand finals, and like there was not a dry eye in that building. Like we were all just a big old puddle of tears as she said goodbye, because we didn't know if anything was coming next. And to me, I truly thought it was over. I was like, I don't think this league was successful enough to warrant
Jordan, you
anything
were
else.
there. Tell
So
us about your experience.
that
About
was
it.
that was my experience. It was
Okay.
wild. You know, it was just absolutely electric to be in the building there. At the top of the show, you played that little intro, and there were a couple of clips and pictures that I sent you from the grand finals, where I met all sorts of influencers in the Overwatch sphere, also voice actors from the game, and some future voice actors. I have a picture in there with Fariha, who at the time was just an Overwatch influencer, but went on to become the voice of Onron, one of the newest Overwatch characters. So Tons of cool stuff there. I mean, I talked to, oh my gosh, I can't remember his name, Sean Miller, who at the time was in charge of the Overwatch League. I talked to many Overwatch PR people. Again, I had a media badge, so technically I got into places I probably shouldn't have been allowed into. They had a private lounge for media and VIPs only. And so like every morning I would just go there and they had like free snacks and stuff on tables. It was lit. It was so cool.
Schmoozing up
I felt like such a
big
badass.
bucks.
Yeah. And yeah, like the one day, I think it must have been the final day. Like all of the team owners were up there. And like these are people that, the people that invested in some cases $21 million into the league. Now I'm sure those people, the people at the top, like Robert Kraft wasn't hanging out there. But that's where Adam Adamu was, right?
Wasn't it like Robert Kraft's son or something that ended up taking over like a sub organization? It was
I think so, yeah. Anyways, the grand finals were an absolute experience and really showed me that for anyone listening who's never done it before, solo traveling, a lot of fun. Go do something that you want to do just for yourself and on your own, and just go do it. It's an experience. So, yeah. Now, should we move on from the Overwatch League? Do you have any?
I'll say one
thoughts?
more thing about the end of. If you want to ever revisit the end of the Overwatch League on this channel, Grow Up, Level Up on YouTube, I did a short series called Cheers Love, which was an post-mortem Overwatch
Go watch
podcast.
me cry.
Yeah, Jordan's on there. You can catch that. If you missed Jordan crying last week, you can go see Jordan crying that one. So yeah, and I interviewed a couple folks that I've met at the Overwatch League and folks that I've just met in general through the Overwatch League, and just I wanted to immortalize like what it meant for them. And then like a month later, they announced the Overwatch Championship Series, which was like, all right, well, I guess I don't need to continue this. But if you ever want to revisit a time and place, it's right on this channel. Check it out. Grow Up, Level Up. It's called Cheers Love.
Yeah. And then, like you said, a month later, they announced the Overwatch Champions Series, which is Overwatch League Reborn, but on a much smaller scale and more appropriate for Overwatch, probably. So, yeah. Shall we move on?
Let's do it.
Okay.
We're getting close to the timeline here.
This takes us realistically into what I call the post-Overwatch 2 era, which is roughly February 2024 to February 2025. Of course, in that time range, we had the Season 9 revamp of the game. They had a major overhaul to the combat. They had major health pool overhauls. Projectiles in the game were reworked. The actual hitbox of a projectile was reworked. There were passive healing was introduced. So, when you're not in combat for a certain amount of time, your character starts to auto-generate health. There were tons of role-specific changes. It was really, to me, the start of what we would now call modern Overwatch 2. And of course, I don't need to dwell on this one because that really takes us into the modern Overwatch era, which to me kicked off February 18th, 2025. So that is right at the end of that post-Overwatch 2 era. That is when they introduced perks into the game. That's when they introduced Stadium mode, which is an entirely new mode in Overwatch. Later on that year, they then dropped Vendetta as the first melee-only DPS character. And then that brings us into 2026, February of this year, where they released Season 1, which they called Conquest, which introduced sub-role passives, and of course, 5 new heroes, major reworks to almost everything in the game, and realistically brought Overwatch into what it is now. So that was a lot of Overwatch League talk, but I think Overwatch League also serves as a really good timeline for Overwatch as a game itself, because it was there for that whole time frame through the release of Overwatch 2 and everything. Right sort of before they kind of started to really revamp the game that we now know and love. So do you have any thoughts on how Overwatch is now, Samson? Or I'll give you a choice. Would you like to dive into more of those audience submissions? Because I bet we have a few to go through.
We actually only have one more.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, modern Overwatch, we'll call it. we'll call it modern Overwatch
Mhm.
because it is called Overwatch
I forgot to say
again.
they dropped the 2. Yeah. That
Yeah,
was
they dropped it
February
too.
this year.
Um, I think now with the new team and throughout the entire Overwatch 2 era, as you called it, like you can see this new team helmed under Aaron Keller. I'm sure on the back end as well. Folks came and left, and it's like the ship of Theseus thing. Like who, like if you change all the parts, remove all the parts, and replace them,
Right.
is it still the same ship?
Right.
I would argue that the team working on Overwatch now is a it's like 99% a completely new team.
Mhm.
Uh, and in that, they bring a new perspective and new philosophy. And it's people that like haven't been burned. Well, I don't want to say that I'm making assumptions, but haven't been burned by the leadership
Mhm.
of Bobby Kotick and the leadership of maybe even Jeff Kaplan. Um, this is a team that understands they are making a live service game and a team that um, also, again, is not burdened by having to maintain the Overwatch League at the same time. Um, so they have like a newer perspective on how they should create the game. And what it is now is a live service game with new heroes every 2-ish months. Updates, consistent collabs, skins, all that. Um, and I think this was what Overwatch was supposed to be in 2016. Like it
Yeah.
could have been this vision back then if they wanted it to be. And I would argue it's what people wanted and expected of it.
Yeah.
Um, there was a lot of faith in that, like, okay, it's not going to be a live service game, but we love this IP and it's so fresh and
Mhm.
such a good game that we trust the vision. But through that, like people were burned by like, oh, okay, there's no updates.
Mhm.
You're getting like 3 heroes a year. The Overwatch League is this weird thing they keep pushing, and it's now affecting development. But now, like in the era of Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex, like this is what the original vision of Overwatch should have been.
Yeah.
And I hope nothing for it forward because this is what I want Overwatch to be too. Like a live service game. I can come in once in a while. I'm in a different stage in my life. And I grew up a little bit and now I can't play every night and grind ranked ladder like I used to want to. Um but if you are looking for like the best hero shooter that is well maintained and great visuals and looks good, and has a passionate team behind it, like this is it. Like
Yeah.
Overwatch is your game.
Yeah. Um, I think that's very well put, and I don't have much to add because I definitely feel similar. The big thing that I would like to imagine, and this is not anything that needs an answer or anything, but imagine if they had attacked Overwatch full force back in 2016 in the same manner that they are now in 2026, right? Imagine if Overwatch had been the trendsetter that Fortnite became with collabs and crossovers and constant updates and everything, right? I mean, we all know
Hmm.
Fortnite is the reason that Epic is the dominant force that they are, right? Obviously, Epic, a huge, massively successful company prior to Fortnite, but once they really hit their stride with Fortnite, that turned them into the beast that they are now. What would Overwatch look like? And what would the Overwatch League look like had
Oh
they
my gosh.
been first to the market with that strategy of people are loving this. We need to lean into this. We need to dig our heels and we need to get to work, right? Um, and really kind of continue those updates and those changes and everything at a much more consistent clip than they did. It
Hmm.
would be an entirely different game, I'm sure.
Oh, we're in a
And
different timeline. Yeah,
exactly right. But anyways, interesting to think about. So
it is. It is. And I really do wonder, like, speaking more broadly in the games industry, is like, is can they even still do that? Like, can we get to a timeline where they are this I was gonna say multimodal, multimedia IP where they have the
mm,
TV show that everybody wants.
they got
Um,
sunglasses.
yeah. Will they have like I don't know, what's something that Fortnite like action figures that kids are playing with? Are the kids on the playground gonna be talking about Overwatch? Maybe one
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
but it's a lot harder now
Yeah.
with juggernauts like Fortnite and Roblox. that are everybody's evergreen games. And Overwatch is competing against that. But that being said, like, if not now, then when? Because it's only going to get harder
Yeah,
as
totally.
we get older.
Totally.
Yeah. I really hope they do an Overwatch TV show. I think that's the next
Oh,
natural
I know.
progression. Like they need to do it. And I think now that the game is quote unquote good again, like we need an Arcane, but for
I would
Overwatch.
die if they. I mean, I have no connection to League of Legends characters,
Mhm.
and Arcane is an immaculate show. I wish it hadn't taken like 8 years in between seasons or whatever it did take. I think some of the emotional punches that they took in season 2 would have hit a little harder. This isn't an Arcane review though, so we don't need to go into that. But nonetheless, season 2 of Arcane made me bawl my eyes out and was just top tier. Both seasons were just top tier. So I would love to see them give Overwatch the same treatment, but
They can do it.
Yeah.
They are set up for that, right? They have this incredible world, and I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it's just a matter of time of finding the right people and all that. Mario took 40 years to have a movie, so
Fair enough.
I don't think Overwatch needs 40 years, but
Yeah, right.
but we'll get there one day.
Take us to the last submission from the audience.
The last
Please, sir.
submission. The last submission for folks joining us now, we sent out a little whatchamacallit, a little survey out. The last submission comes from a person who is just called Daddy.
Daddy.
When did you start playing Overwatch? Never. Tell us about your experience and journey with Overwatch. 3D fan animation.
Do we need to hear this one?
Let's see. I'll let you know their 10th anniversary celebration.
Okay, great. Oh, Hawk says yes. So
Hawk says yes. All right,
we've got someone's attention.
Who's your favorite hero? Mercy. All right.
Okay. Good pick.
Do you
good
still
pick.
play? Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy? Great reference, though. I like that.
Yeah.
It's good meme.
Yeah.
I like this one, though. How would you improve the 10th anniversary celebration? Bring the 2 back again. Let's just go back to Overwatch 2.
Yeah. You know what? Now that you say that, that's what they're going to do on April Fools. Guarantee it. Next April Fools, they're going to be like, surprise, we're bringing the 2 back.
Yeah.
And if they do that, I will definitely give them their applause. That would be hilarious.
That would be really funny, right? And this collab, they got the money.
Okay.
Favorite collab or collab that you want? Fortnite.
I mean, yes, I am confused where the Fortnite collab is because Fortnite has an Overwatch collab. How does Overwatch not have a Fortnite collab at the same time? Or are we just staggering the 2 so that they're not competing with each other? That is my suspicion, is next season in Overwatch, once the Fortnite collab is done once the Overwatch collab in Fortnite is done, which ends June 8th, I believe, are we going to then get an Overwatch Fortnite collab? Anyways.
Yes. Yeah. The Street Fighter
flip-flop.
Kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of thing. I mean, other than Jonesy, I guess you can do the banana peel.
Peely.
Really good.
Yeah.
Peely. I guess you can do the
I-
Ice King or whatever.
I mean, The Rock? No, I'm just kidding. Literally Goku, like any character. No.
Any character. Hey, one thing we don't talk about enough is John Cena is technically in the Overwatch universe. The Enigma. You remember
This is true. I do remember he did a brief what was that?
Ad campaign.
Commercial ad
less,
campaign. It was like a 30-second ad that he was in. Like,
so random.
I forgot about that.
Extremely random. That is more random than the Overwatch inaugural grand finals season. DJ Khaled performance.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh wow.
Do you want to hear like real deep cut rumors? Apparently, they were going to get Blackpink at the grand finals, but Blackpink dropped out last second, and then they got DJ Khaled because he was in town for Beyonce's concert.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah.
That's the rumor.
At the time, I didn't know about Blackpink until, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. So I wouldn't have had no clue who Blackpink was.
I think they were on their up and up at that time as well.
Okay.
Like they were the new hot. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's true, Perry. It's true, Perry.
Wild switch, Perry.
I was there. It's, hey, man. Robert Kraft, like, who do you know?
Yeah. Who do you know? And he's like, let me call up DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled. Okay, hey, actually,
my good friend.
Perry. This is required reading just for Perry specifically.
Okay.
Look up the DJ Khaled performance.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
It's awkward as hell.
Look it up on YouTube. Yeah. Like, this is
just Google Overwatch League DJ Khaled. You'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we are going long, but it is definitely something that you would definitely
homework.
Yes, 100%.
Not just for Perry, for all of you in the chat. You better watch. Give that video all the views. Just put it on repeat and let it play until someone notices. Anyway,
DJ Khaled 2018 Overwatch League Grand Finals inaugural season.
I'm sure if you just Google DJ Khaled Overwatch League, you'll find it.
Yeah. He's only ever did one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's crazy.
All right, Samson.
That's a great place to end it.
Well, I was going to say, before you end it, we covered the original characters and you gave us your favorite. I'd like to hear your new age favorites characters. So 2022 onwards. I can give you the list if you'd like.
No, I think I could pull it out of my smooth brain.
Brain butt.
If I were to pick a tank, I would pick Domina.
Okay, fair.
Or Ramatra.
Fair. She's hot. He's hot. Both are hot.
Yep.
Hot robot, hot lady.
True.
Yeah.
If I were to pick a DPS, I've actually been leaning towards Bastion a lot ever since his rework, like his Overwatch 2 rework. Okay.
I'll allow you to pick Bastion because he got pretty heavily reworked in Overwatch 2.
If I were to pick a new one, I don't know. I don't really like going around. Sojourn would be my Overwatch 2.
Good.
New Overwatch. New
Canadian
Overwatch
representation.
Yeah, there you go. And my support would be Illari. Shout out French Dip Design. I really like playing Illari. Yeah.
Good stuff.
What about you, Jordan?
I only picked 2. Although I could easily pick 3 if I threw Domina in there, because
I picked like 4.
I'm also in love with Domina for reasons other than her gameplay.
Mr. Hawk says, who's the hottest? Look up Domina.
Arguably Domina.
You tell me if we're wrong. You tell us if we're wrong.
Mr. Hawks, look up Domina. If she's not your bag, look up Vendetta. If she's not your bag, look up Winston. If he's not your bag, look up Ramatra. Yeah, there's a lot.
They're leaning into the more attractive characters, which is like fine, and it'll never be as bad as Marvel.
But then they released a cat, so you know. Anyways, my actual favorite. So if I had to pick a new age tank, it would be Domina. If I'm going support and then damage as well, I would definitely pick Vendetta for DPS because I had a ton of fun with her when she came out. They nerfed her pretty bad, but she's still a lot of fun to play. And then on the support side, I love Juno. Juno's mobility, just hopping and bopping and floating around is a lot of fun. So
yeah, that's one thing too we didn't bring up as much as like the personalities of these characters are so fully realized. I really like Juno just based off of like her voice lines and
she's a Martian
animations and all that.
She's from Mars.
It's very fun and it's like, oh, everything's new and I'm curious. So fun stuff.
Totally.
That is a great place to end it, Jordan. Thank you so much for running us through 10 years of Overwatch and the Overwatch League. Of course, like we've got so many touch points, you and I, both in person and not in person. The craziest thing, chat, while you're still here, is Jordan and I met through Overwatch League, but famously, we have not met in person yet, which is...
It's true.
We will one day. We will one day. Maybe at the next Overwatch homestead. That'll be where we first meet.
If they did an OWCS event in like Vancouver, I could probably see about making it out there. They're never going to do one in Edmonton, so but
Toronto. I feel like Adam
probably the most likely. Yeah.
Would try something first before not.
Yep.
Perry in the chat says it's so wild you haven't met. It is wild. But Canada's very big. It's kind of hard to travel, and there's a big mountain between us. That's why. Tirana, as Mjolnir says. Mr. Hawks also saying, just looked up Domina. I do not need to look up anybody else.
Yeah.
Well,
you're right.
You can keep looking up things, just as Daddy said in our things like fan animations, but I won't go there.
As Daddy said, wow.
That's what they wrote it as, Daddy.
I know.
So if you enjoyed what you listened to, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. At Grow Up Level Up on all the socials, on YouTube, podcast, wherever you want to hear our dulcet voice tones. You can find us. We post weekly talking about the games that helped us grow up and the games that we are enjoying today. Like I said, Overwatch came out when we were adults and we're still adults, but man, it has been pretty much our entire adulthoods, more or less. One thing we didn't touch on, Jordan, is like, I think my buddy has like an intern at his job, and she's like, "Yeah, I play Overwatch. I've been playing since I was in middle school." And then he's like, "Okay, I was an adult when this game came
Just
out.
passes
I'm
away.
still an adult. That's not okay."
Just pass away at that moment.
Exactly. So we like to talk about topics like these, games like these. At Grow Up Level Up, make sure you like, comment, follow on everything. And if you really liked it, come on over to growuplevelup.com, pick up some merch, and support our show. Before we close out, I want to remind you that next week we are going to be going over the Summer Game Fest announcements. Is that right, Jordan? Some SGF is this
Not
week /
announcements,
next week.
predictions.
Predictions, as well as I'm going to play. Speaking of League of Legends, I'm going to play the League of Legends trading card game Riftbound at the regional qualifiers here in Vancouver this weekend. If you are in Vancouver and playing that as well, come find me. I will happily say hi. I am not very good at this card game. I literally signed up because I enjoyed the Pokemon one so much. I literally learned how to play this card game about a month ago, and now I'm going to go compete for it. So I'll let you know how that goes. I'll talk about my experience next week. Wow. Perry in the chat says, are we doing Tuesdays now, or is this week's just special? I think we can commit to Tuesday nights for a little while, unless notified. But this live thing, chatting with the audience, with you guys, it's been pretty fun for Jordan and I. Like, business decision wise, we haven't committed to it yet, but it's been pretty fun to do live.
Yeah, we just kind
What do
of
you think, Jordan?
randomly started. I think we had one live episode. Then the next week you were like, you want to go live again? I was like, sure. And then the next week it was like, you didn't even ask. We just went live. And I was like, okay, cool. And now we're just doing it. So I love it. We love talking with
Perry.
y'all.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Like, honestly, it's pretty fun doing stuff live, being a part of the podcast. You get to be immortalized in this episode with us.
Totally.
It's not just me and Jordan in a video call. So if you want to be part of the next live, twitch.tv/growuplevelup. We will be there. Maybe even youtube.com/growuplevelup as well. We will be there. Jordan, where can people find you if they want to talk to you?
You can find me all over the internet at Sir Dr. JM. That's at Sir DRJM, especially over on Instagram and sometimes over on twitch.tv/Sir Dr. JM.
Very nice. And you can find me at Samson XP on all the socials as well. I'm mostly on Instagram, sharing memes, posting about my life. Or you can find me on Blue Sky as well at smsn.bluesky.social. Thank you so much for joining us in the chat today, all the YouTube chat or the Twitch chatters. This has been super special. Thanks for joining us on this, one of our longer episodes.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.